5 men drive into the mountains for a basketball game. Their car is found the next morning, engine running, headlights on, heat blasting, parked in the middle of a deserted road in the Sierra Nevada. No note, no sign of struggle, no reason on earth for them to be there. 3 of them will vanish without a trace. 1 will be found frozen to death, 8 miles away from the car. And the last one, the one who should have survived the easiest, will be found in the most impossible, inexplicable place of all. Authorities will call it the most puzzling missing persons case in California history. They're not wrong. It's February 24th, 1978, Marysville, California. 5 men in their 20s and 30s, Gary Mathias, Jack Huett, Ted Weiher, Bill Sterling, and Jack Madruga, pile into Jack Madruga's 1969 Mercury Montego and head to Chico State University. They have tickets to watch a college basketball game. Now, before we go any further, you need to understand something about these 5 men, because it matters enormously to everything that follows. All 5 had varying degrees of intellectual disabilities. They were part of a community program. They were described by everyone who knew them as gentle, kind, and above all, creatures of habit. They were not impulsive. They were not adventurous. They didn't take risks. They were the kind of people who took comfort in routine, which makes everything that happens next so deeply, profoundly wrong. The game goes fine. Their team, the local college team they followed and adored, wins. Witnesses remember seeing them at the concession stand, happy, cheering, normal. They leave the arena around 10 p.m. They should be home in 2 hours. They are never seen alive again, not all of them anyway. The next morning, a maintenance worker on a remote mountain road near Oroville, 70 miles northeast of their homes in the complete opposite direction from where they were going, finds something strange. A 1969 Mercury Montego, engine running, headlights blazing, heat on full, sitting dead still in the middle of the road. No one inside. The keys are in the ignition. There's no damage to the car, no flat tires, no mechanical failure. The gas tank is low, but not empty. The car could have kept going. There's food in the car, snacks they'd brought for the trip. Outside the car in the snow and mud, investigators find footprints. 5 sets, all leading away from the road, up into the mountains, into the wilderness, into the cold. It was February in the Sierra Nevada. Temperatures that night had dropped well below freezing. Here's what no one can explain. There is absolutely no reason, none, for them to have been on that road. It wasn't on the route home. It wasn't near anything they knew. There was no shortcut, no detour, no logical explanation for why 5 men with intellectual disabilities who craved routine and familiarity would drive 70 miles in the wrong direction, in the dark, into the mountains, and then get out of a warm, working car and walk into the snow. What were they running from? Search and rescue teams comb the mountains for weeks. The terrain is brutal. Dense forest, steep ravines, deep snowpack. They find nothing. The families wait. Days turn to weeks. Weeks turn to months. Then in June, 4 months later, a forest ranger stumbles across an old trailer about 19 miles from where the car was found. Inside the trailer, they find Ted Weiher, or rather, what's left of him. Ted has been dead for around 13 weeks. He is emaciated, having lost an estimated 100 pounds. He's lying on a bed inside the trailer, covered in sheets, his feet so badly frostbitten that several toes had fallen off. And here is where this case gets genuinely haunting. The trailer was stocked. There were matches. There was a propane heater with 8 full canisters of fuel sitting right next to it. There were military rations, enough food to last a year. There was everything Ted needed to survive. He used none of it. He lit no fire. He didn't use the heater. He didn't eat more than a fraction of the food available. He lay in that bed in the cold as the weeks passed, and he died. Why? Why didn't he use what was right in front of him? In the surrounding area, searchers find the remains of 3 others, Sterling, Huett, and Madruga. Their bodies are scattered across the mountainside. They had died from exposure. That's 4 of the 5. Gary Mathias is never found. Not a bone, not a piece of clothing. Nothing. To this day, Gary Mathias has simply ceased to exist. So what happened? How do you even begin to explain this? Theory 1. They got lost. The simplest explanation. Maybe Madruga took a wrong turn. Maybe they ended up on an unfamiliar road, panicked, saw headlights in the distance, and followed them. There are reports of a truck in the area that night, possibly driven by someone hostile. Maybe they fled into the mountains to escape a threat. It explains the flight. It doesn't explain the trailer. Theory 2. Gary Mathias. Here's the detail investigators couldn't shake. Gary Mathias was different from the others. He had a history of paranoid schizophrenia, and crucially, he'd recently stopped taking his medication. Some investigators believe Gary experienced a psychotic episode that night, that he became convinced of some threat, real or imagined, and led the others away from the car and into the wilderness. The others, trusting Gary, followed. It would explain the flight. But it leaves massive gaps, like why Ted didn't survive in the trailer, like where Gary is. Theory 3. Something more sinister. A small but persistent camp of researchers believe someone else was involved, that the men were followed from the game, run off the road, and coerced into the mountains. Some point to a witness who claimed to see someone matching Gary's description being dropped off near a town days after the disappearance, buying supplies and acting strangely, then vanishing again. Was Gary the only one who encountered whoever, or whatever, drove them from that car? Did he survive? Did he run? Is he still out there somewhere? No one knows. Here's what keeps people up at night about this case. How did 5 men travel 19 miles through snow and mountain wilderness in the dark? Men who had never been to this area, had no survival training, no orienteering skills, without leaving a consistent trail, without anyone finding them during the weeks of active searches. Why didn't Ted use the resources in that trailer? Was it cognitive inability? Was he waiting for someone to come back? Was he too physically destroyed by the time he reached it to do anything at all? And Gary, always Gary, the man who knew the mountains most, who was the most physically capable, he's the one who vanishes completely. The one you'd expect to find first is the one you never find at all. The Yuba County Five case remains officially unsolved. The families never got full answers. The true sequence of events, what happened between that basketball arena and that mountain road, has never been reconstructed. 5 men left for a basketball game and drove into the dark. One of them is still out there, somewhere. What do you think happened that night? Drop your theory in the comments. If this is your first time at Midnight Archive Studio, welcome. Hit subscribe. We go deep on the cases that don't let go. I'll see you in the next one.